Welcome, traveler. I'm glad you found the gallery. Not many people make it this far. Are you seated comfortably? Good. The midnight hour approaches. Tonight, you have the privilege of witnessing a private showcase displayed here for the first time. Each exhibit in the gallery is a collector's item in its own way, not because of any particular artistic quality, but because each captures a frozen moment of a nightmare. You can't look away now, can you? Don't try to leave. The doors are locked. The lights are off. The dark is all-consuming. Welcome to the Midnight Gallery.
More shots. A man dressed in tactical gear runs out of the zoo entrance, screaming something. I can't hear him from where I'm standing, but it sounds distinctively like, "Run away! She's clawing the children!" There's an ambulance to my left. I step aside as paramedics hustle a bleeding woman past us. "She wouldn't die!" the woman wails, blood trickling down her forehead. "They shot her over and over again, but she just wouldn't die." Gunshots, dozens of them. People in their death throes. A kid runs from the entrance, crying. He trips and falls. People rush by, kicking him in the face. Then an old man with a baseball cap comes out, supported on the shoulders of two paramedics, his left leg missing from the knee down. I look at the cat box in my hands and can see the shape of my tabby restlessly pitching back and forth in his slumber. "Oh, Fernando, what have you done?" "7 hours earlier." "What do we have today then?" the vet asks. I lift the cat box on top of the silver surgical table. Inside, my cat, Fernando, mewls with the mounting intensity of a rabid weasel. Not that I've heard a rabid weasel screech, but Fernando seems to be channeling up the mating call of a Lovecraftian beast on fire with aplomb. The vet gives me a wan smile, looking like she's seen all this before. "Well, it's a bit of a weird one actually," I say as I unclasp the latches of the lid. "Fernando was acting strange yesterday, just constantly circling the coffee table. Didn't think much of it until he changed direction, so I counted the number of circuits he was making. 20 times clockwise and then 20 times anti-clockwise. That's strange, right?" The vet looks at me with a raised eyebrow. "Uh-huh," she mumbles. "And then this morning I found this." I lift the lid and reveal my cat to the vet. Fernando has a kind, open expression in his eyes, and today is no different. He's a black Turkish Angora with a semi-long coat that's super soft and silky to the touch. The mane of fur on his chest gives him the impression of a small lion. I would say Fernando's best quality is his butthole. Most of the time, he slinks around me when I'm lying on the sofa, binge-watching a series on Netflix, and seems to ask, "Have you seen it? My butthole? It's impressive." As I attempt to swat his tail away from my face, he takes it as a challenge and again telepathically asks, "Look at it. Really? It's impressive. Let me show you." When I change his litter box tray, it's like he hears the universe changing, as if the particles in his world realign and he wants to become a small part of that cosmic transformation, and he shits exactly after I've cleaned it. In retaliation, I make eye contact with him when I'm masturbating. That's the kind of relationship we have. I also sing the Thundercats theme tune as I carefully stroke under his chin. I see, the vet says flatly. She says this in an official manner. This is serious. Shining white in the fluorescent glow of the overhead lights, a tennis ball-sized thing balloons out of Fernando's ear. Yeah, it looks like an egg sac to me, I add, as if I have any medical intelligence. I want to sound knowledgeable to the vet, so I nod my head sagely, squint slightly, and put a finger to my mouth, the way medical doctors do on TV. It would be great if I wore glasses, because then I could chew on the arm and have them dangle from my mouth. People always look smarter when they're chewing glasses. They have presence when they do that. Or a scrotum? Can cats grow scrotums out of their ears? The vet gently pokes it with a pen. She's careful not to puncture it. The sac undulates before returning to its original position. Fernando playfully swipes at the vet's hand with his paw, but he doesn't seem to be in any pain when the sac is touched. Not in my experience, she says as a way of explanation. I nod my head and wonder how long she's been doing this. The years of learning the biology of animals, the late nights cramming for tests, the first time she ever took a scalpel to a hamster. I feel like I have gained some new information about her in general, and that we've all bonded in the process. Fernando looks at us both with a bored look on his face, but it's like he agrees. His eyes are huge and green. He starts cleaning his paw, which makes the egg sac flop from side to side. For some reason, this makes me think of the vet naked. She's got that whole sexy Hispanic Latino thing going on, and if I squint just a little harder, yes, she looks a little like Jennifer Lopez. I masturbated to a particularly heavy-chested Puerto Rican yesterday on Pornhub. I was so horny I didn't even use lube. But I've always been more of a dry guy when it comes to the old five-knuckle Tommy hand shuffle affair. I wonder if the vet has ever had sex on the surgical table. If I was a vet, I'd have sex on the table. Perks of the job and all that. Then I wonder if the vet is a screamer. The Puerto Rican kept on moaning, "Ooh, papi! Ooh, papi!" which never really did it for me. Also, I don't want the girl I'm screwing to be thinking of her dad while I stick my thumb up her ass. I realise the vet has asked me a question. Maybe I shouldn't have smoked that blunt before I came in here this morning. Huh? I say, leaning on the table to hide my erection. It's not a tumour, she says. Do you clean your cat's ears? I don't think I've ever cleaned Fernando's ears. He's always maintained his own hygiene. That's what cats do, right? I don't see Fernando waiting for me with a towel after I shower. Why should I clean his ears? But now I'm thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger in the film where he goes undercover as a teacher to find out the location of a dangerous criminal. Who is your daddy and what does he do? It's not a tumor. Why did the 90s have such an infatuation with buddy cop films? I guess 48 Hours started the trend with the uptight white guy partnered with the streetwise black guy, which then evolved into Lethal Weapon with the tired old black guy and the crazy unhinged white guy. It kind of went off the rails when they teamed up guys with dogs like in Turner and Hooch and Canine. Was Kindergarten Cop a buddy cop film? I guess Arnie teams up with the school kid like in Last Action Hero, but would you put it under that category? Do you think they ran out of scenarios for people to team up with? I miss a good buddy cop film. They don't make them like that anymore. Man, I really shouldn't have smoked that blunt this morning. The vet pokes harder at the sack protruding from Fernando's ear. It's hard to say how far it goes in, but it looks like it's rooted deep. I think I can... the vet begins, levering and cajoling the plump bladder. A few moments later, she twists it delicately, and the ear scrotum makes a distinct shucking sound as it pulls loose and bounces off Fernando's paw, trailing bloody, fibrous tendrils. Female spiders produce either one egg sac containing several to 1,000 eggs, or several egg sacs with successfully fewer eggs. I think I saw that on a documentary once. That's the unnerving feeling I have as I watch the sac pulsate on the surgical table. This monstrosity that was once attached in Fernando's ear looks more like a spider abdomen, with thin, ochre-tinged veins spread across the fleshy scrotum skin. The tendrils erratically grope and stab the table like an inefficient assassin. Half a dozen of the slimy, spaghetti-like stems wriggle and squirm like cephalopods, which makes sense since the limbs or stalks or whatever they were attached to the head, if indeed it was a head. Those tendrils were burrowed in my cat's tiny walnut brain. Is Fernando a zombie cat now? Well, that's fucking gross, I say, wincing. Jennifer Lopez looks at me with lidded eyes. Have you fed your cat anything different in the last few weeks? I tap my lips, as if lost in thought. The truth of the matter is that I've barely been able to afford rent, let alone cat food. Fernando has been on the same strict diet as me, beans, noodles, and the mysterious bowl of slop at the back of my fridge. No more than usual, I lie. Jennifer Lopez stares at me, which makes me uncomfortable. Is it true that wombats crap out 80 to 100 cube-shaped turds a day? Jenny from the block glances from the pulsating scrotum sac to my cat and then to me. I wonder if she's going to slide out of the room and call for assistance. I wouldn't hold it against her. But then I think about being carted off to the NSPCA for mistreating Fernando. I have fleeting images of the vet weeping in the docks, explaining to the jury that the alien scrotum thing in Fernando's ear was all my doing, all my fault. And the jury believe her story because she looks a little bit like Jennifer Lopez. I realise in this moment that I haven't paid my cat insurance for over 3 years. All of this because I fed Fernando the mysterious bowl of slop from the back of my fridge. I think we should approach this thing with a calm demeanour, I say thoughtfully. I don't think we should startle it. Maybe stroke it like a pony, or feed it dead mice. That will establish trust. The vet leans in closer to examine the fleshy lump, reaching for one of the slithering tendrils. Her eyes widen. She has time to only say, "Holy shit," before a series of events happen so fast I fail to register them all at once. Firstly, Fernando decides to take a dump on the surgical table. He looks up at me with keen interest and a mirthless grin that seems to say, "Ha-ha, pathetic petal man, you like this woman and I've embarrassed you in front of her. Marvel in awe at my supreme comic timing skills. I am the pinnacle to which you aspire." Secondly, one of the viney stalks rears up like a cobra and shoots out towards the vet, penetrating her eyeball. There are certain moments in life when you know something bad is about to happen, but you just stand there with a stupid look on your face and do nothing. Like when you're playing Mortal Kombat and your opponent is about to land the killing blow. You know you can't do anything about it, so you just accept defeat. The vet lingers in that state, her body imperceptibly shuddering before she finally flails backwards and flings herself to the ground. Her head thunks against the tiled floor, and I wince like I've sucked bitter lemon. That's going to be a hell of a headache tomorrow. She's clawing at her face, gasping, choking, spasming. The tendril is still connected to the scrotum sac, and the vet is thrashing around on the floor, trying to pull it out of her eye like a demented hellhound playing tug of war with a piece of rope. I back up and consider leaving. I mean, they wouldn't be able to charge me for this, will they? Jennifer Lopez opens her mouth to scream but releases a banshee wail instead. I see something bulbous and meaty within the stringy tendon pulsate and zip into the vet's eye. It reminds me of that scene in Aliens when Ripley stumbles across the Queen and she's shitting out eggs with her insect-like ovipositor. I blink in astonishment as the ballooning sac starts to deflate, emitting a whippish farting noise in the process. There's a stench too, like rotting meat, but this could just be Fernando's turd sitting innocently on the table. The vet judders and convulses. Whatever was moving through the tendril has made its way inside her. I wonder if I'll need to pay extra for this. Without insurance, this little escapade could be expensive. The vine-like conduit from the now withered scrotum starts to deflate and turn black. After a few more seconds, it simply disintegrates, powder filaments drifting to the floor. If anyone were to enter the surgical room, they'd think we'd just been chain smoking and tapping our ash onto the tiled flooring. J-Lo stops convulsing, blinks a couple of times, and props herself up on elbows, eyes fixed on me. "Hello, human meat sack!" Fernando is curled up in a ball, asleep. "It's me, Fernando!" the vet says calmly. She takes a moment to compose herself, and then attempts to stand. It's like watching Bambi trying to take her first steps. I nod my head, as if all of this makes perfect sense. I see, I say. The vet clutches the side of the table and slowly pulls herself upright. She remains motionless, as if moving would make her fall. It's nice to see the world from this height, and with colour. Did you know that our vision is like your colourblind human meat sacks? Isn't that fascinating? Fascinating, I reply. Yes, I used to see shades of blue and grey, but now, wow, look at that shiny thing. The Lopez vet / Fernando hybrid monster lurches over to the table and studies a silver bedpan with ardent wonderment. Human meat sacks are quite tall, aren't they? I briefly wonder if that's why cats always perch up so high. You with me, buddy? The Fernando Lopez vet asks. Sorry, I think my brain just snapped. That's okay, Max. I know this might be a little overwhelming, like the way you popped me in a box and had me castrated. Ha ha! You know that this place is my Auschwitz, right? I nod again. My legs feel rubbery. Do you mind if I sit down? I ask. Sure thing, pal. You don't need to ask me, though. I mean, I've seen you masturbate. You pretty much do what you like around me, and I respect that. I sit on one of the vet's stools. There's a lot to process. The cat body of Fernando remains inert. So, what the fuck, man? Lopez vet Fernando laughs. It's a wholesome chuckle. I know, right? Who knew? I've got to say, I do like thumbs. Makes things easier. Vet Fernando swipes at the cat box and sends it sprawling to the floor. Sorry, force of habit. So, are you, controlling the vet and yourself at the same time? I ask. Lopez vet Fernando looks at his cat body curled up asleep. Well, I suppose I can only control one at a time, but maybe it's like when you play on that box thingy at home, the thing with the flashing lights. My video games? Yes, if that's what you call them. You haven't killed the vet, have you? I'm not sure, in all honesty. Well, how do you feel about that? I'm a predator. It's in my nature to kill things. Well, she seemed pretty nice. I'm a woman? Interesting. I think she'll be okay. I've gained her knowledge on animal anatomy. It'll prove me a worthier apex predator, and I'll know where to strike the vital organs. I rub my chin. So, what's the plan? Fernando Lopez vet looks up at the ceiling, as if considering the question. Well, take over the world, I guess. The myths are true. We do want to take over the world, you know. We're just too apathetic. Fernando vet looks over at his sleeping body. In our current vessels, that is. You want to join me? I consider his proposal. It would be good to rule the world. I think Fernando has what it takes to get the job done. I mean, yeah, why not? I finally say. Good. I wouldn't want to have to kill you if you said no. I nod. Not sure if this is cat humor. I'm famished. Absolutely starving. What's for lunch? I shrug. What do you fancy? Fernando vet shakes a finger at me. Well, you're always banging on about chicken tikka masala. Think I might give that a whirl. I whistle. You are in for a treat. Fernando Lopez vet laughs. Come on then, fuck knuckles. Let's get this show on the road. I want to pop into the zoo. Many things to kill. The woman who used to be my vet clumsily walks to the door. Still getting my bearings? Fernando vet says. Easier when you have 4 legs. I scoop up the sleeping cat and put him back in the box. Together we walk out. Say, sing that tune to me. The one about the cats of thunder. And let's make our way to the zoo now. Much to see, much to do.